Thank you for joining us today. My name is Christine Torres. I am the Director for Academic Success Initiatives. Our presentation today is Planning and Managing Major Assignments Made Easy. This session will be recorded and it will be available on our YouTube channel so you can watch it there. If you're just now joining us, please feel free to use the chat button, use your microphone, interact with emojis, whatever you need to do to stay engaged. The presentation will also be available on our YouTube channel, so you can download it from there. All right, let's get started. These are some of the things we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about self-awareness. We're going to walk you through evaluating, planning, and prioritizing your projects. We're going to talk about overcoming procrastination, motivation, and mindset. So first, we're going to start off by identifying what is self-awareness. So this is part of understanding who you are and how you work better. So the definition is the ability to understand your own thoughts, emotions, behaviors, and characteristics and how they impact you and others. So before we get started on our self-reflection activity, what I want to do is I want you to take a moment and I want you to think about, when do you work best? When do you tend to be more focused? When do you tend to be less focused? When do you feel more productive? When do you feel like you haven't really done much, even though you've allocated your time? So I want you to think about things like your habits, things that help you and things that hinder you. I want you to also start thinking about things like when stress is high, when stress is low, what your mood is for that day, and what motivation looks like. These are a lot of the things that really, really help us or can hurt us when we're trying to be productive in our studies. So we're going to go through an activity, just grab something to jot something down with, or at least think about these things as we go through this process. You don't have to share anything, but I want you to go through this process so that you are able to identify these things, because we tend to just start studying and we don't think about, well, I really had a long day today. I worked all day today. I had classes all day. I really need to rest before I get started, things like this. So I just want to give us that space to be able to think about these things and create a plan that's going to help us. All right. So we're going to first look at I work best when. So write the sentence down, I work best when, and I'm going to give you some prompts. It's just a couple of prompts just to jog your memory about, oh, yes, I do study better in the library. I study better in my study room at home. I study better in this environment. So I want you to be thinking about this as these next things come up on screen. And I just want you to jot down which of these, or maybe something that's not on here, is something that let's see, I work best when, something that you can relate to. I start early in the day. So starting earlier in the day versus later in the day, in a quiet place, with or without your phone, when you have music on or background noise, when you set goals versus when you don't have any goals or a to-do list when you get started, when you take tasks and break them into smaller tasks. So this is called chunking, versus just trying to sit there all day for 8-10 hours straight. If your level of sleep has an impact on when you work best. So just kind of write that down, and then we'll move on to the next question. All right. The second one is I struggle when. So I want you to think about what makes it difficult for you. It might have been something on the previous slide. It might be something on this slide. So let's look at that. I'm studying somewhere noisy or crowded. Might be difficult for you. When I try to multitask, or if my phone is nearby. If you try to study without taking a lunch break, or just for a long period of time. When I study with friends, and then who those friends are, and if you tend to get off topic. When I feel overwhelmed, when you really got a lot to do, and when you don't know where to start. When you study late, and then you're already exhausted. So think about those things that make it difficult for you when you're trying to study. Our next sentence is, I feel motivated when. So when do you tend to feel motivated? When you can see progress by checking off a completed task, maybe you have a to-do list. When someone holds you accountable, so this might be somebody, here, a family member, a friend, something like this. When you get positive feedback or recognition for your effort, so somebody telling you, wow, like you really did stay here and you studied for 3 hours, good job. What do you got left to do? When those conversations start happening, when you work in a space that feels productive, when you are learning something that you actually find interesting, and then when you can study with people who keep you on track. So what helps you feel motivated? Next, what we're going to do is we're going to take those three statements. So you should have a statement that says, I work best when, I struggle with, I feel motivated when. And what I want you to do, and like I said, we're not sharing this, but I want you to think about these things as you plan your study sessions, as you plan your review sessions. I want you to write, to improve this, I can. Based on those things, so say for instance, if you study with your study group and they get off of topic, I can create an agenda before we get started in our study groups. Everybody can come prepared to speak about one chapter or answer one question, and we have these discussions. So those goals in the beginning will still let you study with those friends, but now it's more structured and it's more productive for you. So this is an opportunity for us to identify these things and to help us as we continue to move forward in our academic journey. Does anybody have any questions before we continue to move on? Please feel free to use the chat, take your mic off, use emojis, whatever works for you. So let's go on to our next slide. A second. Okay, so, all right. The illusion is that, I have a quote, the illusion is that change takes time. The truth is change happens the moment you decide. So the moment you decide to create a to-do list before you get started studying, the moment you decide to change your environment of where you're studying, who you're studying with, what's holding you accountable, that's when you'll start to see the change. And you'll notice that the small changes that you start making today are going to have the bigger impact in the long run. So figure out what that is, and please finish that statement to say what you can do to move forward. So has anyone here ever had multiple assignments due at the same time and felt completely overwhelmed about it? Anyone? Let me see your chats. See where we are. Anybody? Yeah. Definitely, yes, for sure. And even myself in a professional position, it can be overwhelming, but we don't have to let it be overwhelming or keep us from progressing in what we need to do. There are things that we can do to get this done and to where we feel like it is manageable. So let's look at those ways. All right. Going to be a couple of steps here. So the first step is you write everything down. Um, we're going to specify, we're going to stick to your courses, what's due, what you're working through. So you might have a project due here, an assignment due here, a quiz due here, and it's really, really stressful because you don't know where they all are or what to consider doing first. It's just overwhelming. So let's write those things down. Let's create a plan, identify your course, what the assignment is, when is the due date, and how much the grade is. So is it worth 25% of your classes, your overall grade? Is it worth 75 points? It could be points or it could be a percentage. We need to identify this. Second thing we need to do, step 2, is writing it down. We can think about all of this. We can think, well, I have this due in English, I have this due in psychology, but if we don't write it down, it's easy to lose track of, and it's easy to get confused to say, well, is this worth 25%? Or was that the other project that I'm going to do? This will help you with reducing stress. Step 2, we're going to rate our assignments. You're going to look at the level of confidence you have doing the assignment, completing it, how much effort it's going to take, and the impact. So this will help us when we're trying to decide, is this really worth that much time for the points I'm going to get back for it? Yes, it is. I need to invest more time. So let's look at this. I've created a little worksheet for everyone to use. Give me a second and I can share the link with you. Working off of multiple screens, so thanks for your patience. Let's get this over. So this is a worksheet that you can use to help you with figuring out what needs to be done when. So you have that link in your chat now. You'll be able to access this. It is a read only. You will have to download it. And then once you download it, you will be, give me a second. Once you download it, then you will be able to make edits from it. So we're just going to look at this worksheet and we're just going to say, for instance, these are the main projects that I have to do, the papers I got to work on. This is when their due dates and this is their weight. So then we're going to rate these things. We're going to look at how confident are we? You click the drop down and it's going to give you a scale of 1 to 5. So let's just say for this first one, I'm pretty confident. I'm familiar with this task. It's something that comes easy to me. I'm going to rate that at a 4. Let's just say for this, we know that there's a lot of work, but I can get it done, right? We're going to rate that medium. Let's just say for this last one, 25%, it's pretty moderate, right? It's going to impact our grade, but maybe you're not doing so well in this class. So we're going to say it is high importance, all right? So we've done that. You'll continue to go through and rate how confident you are in these things that you are doing. So I'm just clicking here, but you can see the levels of confidence, how much effort's going to be put into it, and then the impact on our final grade. So let's just say for this research paper in this class, it's worth 33%, 33 points of our overall grade, which is 1/3 of your grade. And you already know that you're not confident in this. You don't like to write. You're not familiar with writing. It's the first time you've had to write a paper, anything like this. So this is going to be a lot of effort on my side. This is also going to impact my grade. Really, really, really important that we do this. So then let's just say for this same class, we can earn 10 extra credit points on our final that can help us with this if we don't do so well. So then we're going to say, wow, like this is something I really need to do. This is going to be very easy. All I have to do is attend a guest lecture. It takes minimal time for me. Maybe it's an hour session. And then there we go. It can have let's say, it can have a really big impact on my grade. So maybe you're not confident that you're going to make that A or that B or that C in that class. So then we want to make sure that we do this because this is what's going to help us boost our grade by 10 points. Okay. Any questions? If you have questions, please drop them in the chat so I can help you as we go through the presentation. So we're going to go back to the PowerPoint and we are going to look at the next part, which is step 3. For step 3, we want to make sure that we evaluate how we're doing, what we're doing, and then how confident we are. So with all the markers that we went and added in there, we need to make sure that we are ready to proceed. So what we're going to do is this is going to impact what we start on first. So say for instance, you did something and it was a high impact grade and it takes high effort. So for sure, we're going to start planning these early. We're going to break them into smaller steps so that we can get through that. If something is high impact and low effort, we're going to do these first, like that's attending the lecture. Well, all I have to do is RSVP for the event, and that's it. It's low effort, but it's going to make me feel good because I've taken something off of my to-do list. If something is low impact and high effort, then we want to consider limiting the time we spend here. Maybe this will take a lot of effort for you to do, but it doesn't impact your grade. So we should not spend that much time there. The last one is low impact, low effort. It can be done in your spare time, or you can do it with another assignment, right? It's just something that has to be done. What I don't want you to do is I don't want you to focus on high, low. I really want you to think about what works best for you, when it works best for you, and then this will help take out some of um, that fear or that hesitation you might have in prioritizing. We just need to put it on paper and then we're going to rate it. So that's going to be the next thing you do. Make sure that you are using your confidence to guide you. So if you're low in confidence or you're not feeling really good about the project, then know that you're going to need extra help. You're going to need to probably go to the tutoring lab, the writing center, back to your instructor to get clarifications. If your instructor offers to review a rough draft for you, please take advantage of that and then plan that accordingly. If it's high confidence, if you're like, this is something I got, then just continue to plan because you know that you can get through these things. So you want to make a decision about what to tackle first, and then you want to be able to allocate your time right. So let's go back to our guide. Now that we have these things here, you're just going to rank them and you're going to say, this is going to be the first thing I do. This is going to be the second thing I do. And this is going to be the third thing I do. That's it. So it gives you that to-do list and you've already went and evaluated your confidence level, your estimated effort, and how much it's going to impact your grade. So we should know that, say, for instance, this is what we need to be working on. If we need to be working on the research paper, but we stop to work on the midterm, then we need to refocus and say, right now it's not our time to do this. We need to really get this out the way. Okay. So it can help you when you come into that situation of what to work on and when to work on things. Any questions? Okay. So let's look at our next slide. Our next step is we're creating an action plan. So what you want to do is you want to break the assignments into 3 next steps. Okay, just break it down. This will make it a lot easier for you to say, this is more manageable. I don't just have one project due at this date. I have 3 things to do before then. Assign due dates for each step and stick to them, and then track your progress. So when we start doing these things, we start seeing that the items that were high impact and high confidence tasks, we start working through those. Then we start seeing we're progressing. I could see I'm feeling better about this. I feel less overwhelmed. That momentum to keep going is how you get started. This is how we work through that. Okay. So it might not be something that you want to do, but you feel like, well, I've already done this part. I can keep going. It makes it a lot easier. The fifth step is to reflect and adjust. So what we do is we want to make sure, has anything changed? Maybe a deadline got extended. Maybe there's a part that you forgot to incorporate. Maybe something happened. Life just happened in general and you didn't get to work on it and you need to refine your dates. Please feel comfortable adjusting. You have not shared these dates with anybody. This is just dates that you have set internally to help you get through these projects and these major assignments. So review weekly, make the changes that you need to change, and then go from there. So let's look at what it looks like. On the second tab of the worksheet, you'll see an action plan. So we're going to click here. And now we're saying, these are the assignments, the 3 assignments. Here's the due date. What you do is when you're in this box, you create your own due date. You can double click in here and you'll get a calendar. So you don't need to flip back and forth. You can just say when the assignment is due and here are the soft deadlines that I will give myself. So here the assignment is due the 21st. These are the 3 steps that we're going to take to get this done. We're going to review chapters 9 through 13. Then we're going to complete the practice questions. And we're doing all of this before the study session. So this is going to help us prepare for that midterm. Again, if we look at the calendar, we double click those dates. We're doing it on the 12th and the exam is not till the 21st. So we're planning, we're breaking this down, and we have the steps. You can also go in here and click the progress. So if it's in progress, it's something we're working on. But then once we've completed it, you can go back and change it to completed. Okay. Again, checking things off of your list is what helps us feel like we are getting through the process and it makes it more manageable. Once you download this form, please feel free to edit to what works best for you. If you want to change the colors, if you want to change the progress, you should be able to do all that or create your own. All right. Any questions on the action plan? Does this look like something that you would be able to use or consider using for at least one of your assignments? Yes, great, great, great. Well, I hope it helps keeping everything in one place. And then you can use it semester after semester, and it's free. Okay, so let's go on. So let's talk about why sometimes we can have all the plans ready. We have everything set up by deadlines. We've created the 3 steps. Like we've gone through this, we've identified where we're at, but we don't feel like we're moving forward. One of those reasons can be perfectionism. When I was looking for images to put in here, then we can already see the perfectionism. This is a child, they're just doing a simple drawing, but yet the lines have to be straight. So this takes away from the actual activity. This actually takes away from the experience of just freelance drawing, right? So you have to recognize those moments when, am I doing this to be perfect? Or am I doing this because I need to follow directions, right? So we have to understand what those differences are. So a strategy, give yourself permission to work on a rough draft. And one of your steps can be submit a rough draft or create a rough draft, which means you still have to go back in there and revise it. But this will keep us from stopping because we're questioning what we're doing. You understand the instructions, we know what the assignment is. Here's my rough draft, right? And I'll come back later and I'll do the proofreading. What I need to do now is I need to take everything that I'm thinking, that I'm researching, and put it in place and just find a landing spot for that. And that might be that document. So do that. Now, maybe you're stuck and you're like, I've come to a point to where I need to stop, but I'm supposed to be here. I'm exhausted. I'm overwhelmed. Find a halfway point. You can tell yourself, before I get up, I'm going to write 2 pages. Before I get up, I'm going to finish reading this chapter. Before I get up, I'm going to answer half of the questions. Find that halfway point because, again, this is the momentum. If I can get to that halfway point, it's less when I pick up on it again. Or, you know what? This wasn't so bad. I made it. Let me just knock it out. I'm already here. I can do this. Um, so please consider that. Feeling overwhelmed is another thing that keeps us from progressing. So, quick strategy, write down all of your tasks. Now, I showed you the template, and somebody mentioned they use the Notes app for that. It doesn't have to be perfect, it's your call. If you want to use a sticky note, use a sticky note. If you want to use another document, whatever you use what you're going to feel comfortable with. Just write everything down. Here's everything I need to do. Here's what must be done today. Because a lot of times we start stressing on what we have to do in the future, what's due next week, what's due at the end of the week, and then we are not progressing on what we're currently working on. And if you have allocated the best time of day, the best location for you to study, you've removed distractions, and we're ready to study, then we can still have internal things that are keeping us from progressing. So recognize that, okay? Is this something internally? Yes, let me write everything down. Let me get my to-do list and then I can get started, okay? Crossing something off immediately reduces mental clutter and stress. So again, the momentum, cross it out, highlight it, check it, whatever you need to do so that you can keep with that momentum and you can keep progressing in what you need to do. The next thing is motivation and mindset. When motivation is high, we're going to tend to work through things. When motivation is low, it's going to be a lot harder for us to get through materials. So again, making sure that you understand what motivation is like for you when you're at your best, when you need to push through things, when you can't. So acknowledging those times are going to be very important. So connect your work to something that matters to you. You can reward yourself in different ways. You can say, when I'm done with this, let's just say you're reviewing your slides. You've got 100 slides to go, and you can say, I'm going to start and I'm going to see whatever I can go through in 30 minutes. And then I'm going to take a break, and my break might be a snack. It might be time on your phone. It might be a walk. It could be different things, but then you say, that is my reward. I will reward myself by doing this, and then I'm going to come back and finish the rest of the slides. So your rewards can be either intrinsic or extrinsic. So the example I gave was extrinsic. So we're doing this for internal results, right? We're doing this because we know that we're going to be able to have downtime on our phone or watch a series that we're working through. Intrinsic means I'm doing this because I am going to be a nurse. I'm going to be a psychologist. I'm going to be a teacher. And understanding the foundations of this class will help me next semester. So even though it's not an extrinsic reward, it's something internally. And a lot of times that motivation can keep you going. Not to say that it's going to be any easier, but it's just going to help you get through the material. Okay. So determine, do I need something internally or externally to motivate me, to keep me motivated, to keep me reminded about why I have to do these assignments, why I have to do this project. Okay. So consider that and then make those rewards for yourself, whatever it needs to be. Find those rewards that work best for you, that are going to keep you going, that motivation. Mindset. Mindset is the way we think about our abilities and how you challenges. Let's just say, for instance, you struggle with a particular reading. Let's just say reading's very difficult for you. You don't like to read. You've never been required to read, and now you've got to read. What do we do now? Well, if we tell ourselves, I hate reading, I don't like reading, I've never been good at reading, I don't know how to read. If we tell ourselves these things, we are going to believe these things. This is a fixed mindset. Okay. You still got to do the reading. But what we're going to do is we're going to switch our mindset to say, we're in the growth state. We no longer want to be in this fixed state, because when we're in this fixed state, thinking these opinions that we've either formed by ourselves or other people have told us, when we feel this way, then if we think this way, we will start to feel this way. So we want to switch and we want to say growth mindset, right? This is, I believe I can read. I know that when I put in the effort, I can understand, I can get through it, and I can get better the more I practice. So when the negative thinking comes into play, think of a way to say you can, you will, and what would that look like? Okay. Say, for instance, we say that, again, like for this example here, I've never been good at math. I can get better at math if I attend tutoring, if I do the homework before class, if I do the homework right after class, if I set an appointment to reach out to my instructor for their instructor hours to talk about what I don't understand. So when you're in that fixed mindset, if anybody has ever been there, just think about what you can do again so that we can change the way we feel so that we can continue growing. Because again, at the end of the day, we are all here to graduate. And then we need to make sure that we have the skill set that we need so that we can in turn be able to reflect that mindset in our fields once we start working. So if you're going to be a nurse, if you're going to be a psychologist, if you're going to be a teacher, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, whatever that is, if you have an employee that works for you and they says, we're never going to sell anything, like, I don't know what to do. You're going to be there to say, yes, we can. Let's think about how we can do this. What are some things that we can look at to reward ourselves so that we can look at how we're doing in our company? These are all things that you're learning now that are going to help you once you graduate, once you start working. Okay. I'm going to wrap up by saying that we have to use what we've learned today and some of the things that you've already been doing to help you know yourself better, to plan ahead, and to take these small steps. And then to remind you that We're not looking for perfection. We're looking for progress. Okay. So progress, not perfection. Please try to remember that, because we want to make sure that you keep moving forward and that you're not stalled because you're overwhelmed, because we're overthinking things. We want to keep moving forward. And then if at any time you feel like, I think I need a little bit more help with the fixed mindset or going to the growth mindset or the planning, I want you to know that we have academic coaching available to you. So as a TWU student, you can go to the TWU website. You can search for academic coaching. This will bring you straight to our page. And then you can sign up for a personal one-on-one session with me, and I can meet with students one-on-one so that we can go into bigger details about what are those things you're feeling, what are those things you're experiencing. I do apologize. It looks like there's some website issues, but if you go straight to the TWU website, there we go, academic coaching, it'll take you straight to our website so that you have access to that. The website might be a little slow, and you can feel free to just schedule your appointment. So we do have a survey that I'd ask if you do have some time, if you could please help us by filling out this survey. And then I wanted to also let you know that if anybody has any questions, now would be a great time to ask some of those questions so that we can support one another, because there are other people in the session today that would benefit from questions you wanted to ask. So please let me know what those questions are. I've dropped that. There we go. I've dropped that in the survey into the chat so that you have access to that. Okay. Okay, so where can you find the project evaluation template? So I dropped it in the chat. Let's see, and let me drop it again. Because if you join the meeting afterwards, it won't be there. Let me drop it in the chat. And then once so the template is in the chat right now again. So what you can do is you'd have to download it and then you can make edits to it, but you can't work off of that copy. When the video is posted, it'll be posted to our YouTube page at the Pioneer Center for Student Excellence. And then within the comments section, you'll be able to access the PowerPoint and the presentation as well. Okay. So I